Jeff. Welcome to the Livewell Podcast.
Hey, I'm Todd Droege, the owner of Tactical Martial Arts, and we do Krav Maga and all kinds of cool stuff, shooting, you name it, the whole works.
I want to talk about the shooting. I've been coming to your classes for Krav. It's been great, and I really have learned a lot. Wouldn't say my skills are that advanced, but nonetheless, they're getting better. The shooting thing, how should you say, there's a lot of people in the state, a lot of people in the country, they really don't know shit about freaking shooting. And you not only are a good marksman, but you also are a coach and a trainer. So when somebody doesn't have any knowledge of anything regarding guns, gun safety, what do you recommend? What's a good starting point? What's a good type of gun to look for? What protection? Because we live in crazy times.
I think the best thing is the way my system's set up from a bunch of years, and we'll go back and kind of get a feel where this all came from, all the years of experience, but I'd spend your money in training. I have guns. You can try different guns. We'll find the one that fits you, that you shoot well. Instead of picking the gun out that you think you like, we'll look at the target after you shoot it. And if it's very accurate and you did a great job and tactically sound, then that's the gun for you. And it's a big process because most people I train now are women. Because those guys are dumb. I mean, we got 47 guns, 27 different colors, and don't listen to anything. The women are so easy to train. Executives like yourself, professional people like yourself, that's a different story. But most of them are tough to train. But women really listen. So what I do is I go through and we do all the safety rules, because the safety rules really what make you safe with a firearm, not the safety on the gun. Like a gun can have 5 safeties. It doesn't mean you're safe with a gun. So what we do, we go through the safety rules. I explain them in depth, have little stories about each one so they can comprehend really what I'm talking about. So once they did that, they become safer with a firearm, no matter what firearm it is. And then we do the range rules, the medical part, what's the medical plan if anything happens. So the whole package. And then we give them the pieces and parts of the gun. What does this do? What does that do? Along with that is what condition is your gun in at all times. So when they look at it, they see it laying on the bench and the slide is back and the magazine is out, what will it do? Well, it can't fire because they're learning this as we go. So it's basically a rock. So women feel, and shooters, new shooters, feel really comfortable knowing what it will do at different times. The second one is the slide is forward, the magazine is out. Could it fire? Yeah, it could fire at least once because the chamber's closed. I don't know if there's anything in the chamber. So do we still handle it right? Yes, exactly, because it could fire once. And then the last one's the magazine's out, magazine's in and the slide's forward. It could shoot like some of the Glocks 17 times. So once they look at it and they see it and they're doing training and they come up and I'll say, okay, one shot to the head, bang. And they look and the slide is not back. Because maybe their thumb touched the slide lock in the millisecond it takes it. So it didn't do what it always does. They go, oh, wait a minute. What's wrong? Did I count? Did I put 2 rounds in the gun or did I just touch the slide lock by accident? But they'll bring it back and chamber check it and go, okay, it's still empty, lock it back, set it down. So that really makes the biggest thing. And then I go with you to the gun place and we pick out the right gun for you based on what you shot, what you like, what's the proper caliber, and all that kind of stuff. Very few people I start with a 22, and there are some real frail women that I do start with a 22, but most of them shoot 9 because we teach you how to minimize the recoil. And then become very accurate. The last part I talk about is I kind of set a magazine on the table, a pistol magazine. And on the left side of it is all the safety rules, the range rules, everything you know, the mechanics of shooting, all those pieces and parts. And on the other side of that is gunfighting. That's great to know all that, but you still got to shoot them before they shoot you. So then it becomes, well, how do I tactically defend myself with a pistol? So all the training that we do builds towards that. And everything that we do basic leads into the advanced stuff. So the way you rack it is exactly the same way. So when you need a speed reload later, I rack it the same exact way. So all of it builds into becoming advanced. And then, some of the team guys and special units that we train with here in the city, it's funny because when we went to their training, they had another group, Tomahawk Retired SEALs, come in, their training, the guys I've trained with. It's like, what do? The basics. They do the basics better than everybody in the world. You're not going to be rolling out of a Hummer and jumping up. No, you're going to have to speed reload that gun and get your shots on target. So that's basically how I set up the system. I get a lot of compliments of you're very thorough and patient. And I think that's what it takes to be a good instructor of firearms and martial arts, because both of these things were basically saying, hey, your life depends on it. The medical, same thing. Your life depends on it. It's going to be a very easy, simple system, or it's not going to work when what hits the fan.
Yeah, so I started with gun because people don't know your martial arts story, and you are a dangerous man. So
I don't know about that.
Given the right situation or the wrong situation, and if you were to be two sheets and I basically gave you the finger and say, how about you eat a big bag of dong? I mean, I'd regret it.
Well, the best thing is in Grandmaster H.Lee, my first instructor, he says, what would a white belt do? Well, I'd punch you. And what would a grandmaster do? I'd turn you into my friend. That's the kind of the basis of it. So somewhere in between there, and if I felt in threat for my life, I would use the proper amount of force, right? And that's what we try to train everybody. Do I always go to the pistol and shoot you? No, I never want to draw my pistol. If anybody ever says they want to shoot somebody, they're an idiot. You will lose everything you have, or you're just an idiot. You belong in jail anyway. So I don't want to ever punch you. I never want to kick you. But if you throw the switch and it's time to do that, I want to protect myself or my family or my friends. Yeah, I will 100%. Then it's going to be on. But I never want to do that. So I'll do everything possible to not put myself in that position. So I should be so advanced that I see all this stuff coming a mile away. So I'm just driving down the street the other direction while you're having a fit somewhere. I'm already gone, because we all at this, especially your listeners and the clientele you have, we have way too much to lose.
Sure.
That person has nothing to lose. So for me to try out that spinning hook kick I did, at the tournament, for me to draw my gun, for me to do the self-defense we did today in Krav is pretty stupid for me. But if I had to, yeah, it's going to be 100% and it's going to be over. But like I said, that's not our goal. We just love training. I mean, we have such a great time training and around the same mindset people. And again, with your, we'll talk about it more as we get into it, but your product, your Atlanta Livewell, I mean, our job is to stay on this planet longer, and right. How can I perform? Because I am going to be probably the worst person when I'm old, because if I can't do what I can do, man, I'm really pissy.
You're going to get crotchety?
Oh, God, yeah. My wife's like, you need to go hunting or something. Get out of the house for a week. So because we all did so much in our life, we're so physical, we're so athletic, that if I can't spin hook kick anymore, I'm going to be really pissy. So that with your products has really helped me basically stay fit.
So let's talk about your life. When did you start martial arts?
Yeah, so that's a good story. My brother we lived in northern Kentucky, about an hour north of Lexington. Mom and dad had a small horse farm up there, so we always kind of lived in the country. And my brother one day, he was 7, and he goes, I want to do karate. Saw something on TV. And Mom and Dad said, okay, we'll take you down there and try it. And I said, yeah, I'll go. What the heck, So we went down there. It was 1975. In Newport, Kentucky, which is right across the river from Cincinnati. My dad worked there in Cincinnati at Cincinnati Bell. Like, he retired after 45 years or something crazy. So we went to class. I started taking class. I loved it. My first instructor was Richard Hamilton. He's a master instructor, 6th degree now. He's 80-something and lives in Florida. Great friend of mine still to this day. And when we go through it, you'll see how the roles kind of changed after years, but it was super cool. So 1977, I got my black belt. So I've been a black belt since 1977. Mm-hmm. I got my first degree black belt then. Started competing a lot. My instructor liked competing, and that's back when PKA and Joe Corley and Bill Clark down in Jacksonville, they all ran that PKA series. So I was always involved in, level of competition. So we'd go to tournaments, and back then, especially in my division, kind of the higher ranked division, there wasn't any weight divisions or height divisions or anything. In the first several years, first 20 years, we weren't allowed to wear gear. It was against the rule. It was against the rules to wear shin pads, and I used to sneak shin pads in all the time under my gear, because when you round kick each other in the shins, and you're kicking somebody in the head and they kick to or block, my shins were super sensitive. I'd rather get hit in the face than get hit in the shin right now. I went from there to winning the national championship in 1985. And then I'm a 3-time world champion, 1991, 93, and 94. I was the world champion in unlimited weight and unlimited height.
Which art?
So it's Taekwondo, yeah, right. Taekwondo. ATA Taekwondo was the thing we broke off from then now and started our own. But it's basically the same grandmaster moved to a different organization. We went with him because he's the true Grandmaster G.K. Lee. He's the real true martial artist. So we won the championships, and it was pretty funny. In those days, we fought on a big stage, big auditorium with the lights on you. It was cool. It was a big deal. But I remember fighting a guy named James Pickett. He was like the open champion in California, open style, every style. And this dude, he was about a 6'2", slender, fast black gentleman. It was a good friend of mine, but he was pissy. He was always pissy. Mm-hmm. And I'm 5'6", 160. Doesn't matter. You get in there and fight. So we start.
Your fighting weight was 5'6", 160.
Yeah, I'm 5. Yeah, and I'm back. I'm almost that, thanks to you, because now I'm back to like 165.
Nice.
Yeah, I was 185, and now I'm back to 165. Well, a little bit more this week, but I think you're helping me with that.
Your joints like it.
Yeah, exactly. My knees feel tremendous. My body feels better, and I can do everything I did when I won the world championship right now. Maybe not as high, not as fast, but pretty close to it. I mean, I'm 62.
Right.
62 in May. The leading up matches to this big match for world champion was the one I remember. A good friend of mine, he was a state trooper, and I had to fight him first to get into the finals. And he was always my senior, so I always really respected him. He was a police officer. He was just one of those guys with the haircut and just dead face, wasn't hugging and smiling at everybody. He was awesome. So we get in there to spar, and he wanted to punch me, and I slid and side-kicked him right in the ribs, and I beat him. And it was the first time I beat him. And he walks over and goes, "You little son of a..." He goes, pulls up his jacket, and he had a bruise of my footprint on his ribs.
Ouch.
And to this day, he still goes, "I still got that damn footprint, you asshole." So just a cool guy. Yes, I had a little better skills than him at that minute. And that's the thing about high level. I mean, I could win the match. We could fight again, and the other person could win. I mean, so your timing has to be perfect. The wind needs to be blowing in the right direction, and all the stars need to line up because you're at such a high level. Everybody's really good.
Right.
So James Pickett's up there, and I knew I had to score pretty quick on him because, he kicked me. Well, I'll get into it. So they said, ready, it's 2-minute rounds, 3-minute round, and who wins 5 points wins. Pretty much it was full contact,
Right, you felt it.
Yeah, you felt it. Yeah, you get. So they said go, and instantly they said go. I right hand reverse punched him and scored a point. And they said, point. And I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. And then he got so damn mad because I ran from him the rest of the match. I couldn't win. This guy's 6'2", 200 pounds of lightning fast. So every time he moved, I'd move left, right, back, forward, side, and time ran out. I won 1-0. And he took his gear off and threw it across the stadium. And that's a no-no. The high rank, the grandmasters are like,
yeah,
you don't do that shit. He threw it, stomped off, looked at me. He goes, "You didn't win," and walks off. So now that was 93. So now the next year, it came down to me and him again, which is unusual because usually somebody, me or him or somebody's going to get beat throughout the year because everybody was good. There's about 20 of us in that group. Mm-hmm. And it was me and Dan Longoria. We were at one end of the line because Dan's 5'5", I'm 5'6", and everybody else was 6 foot tall and up. Everybody. So we were the two short dudes. But luckily we had speed, which was the advantage for us. And came down to me and him again. And they said, go, and boom, I punched him again. I got the first point. But then the rest of the match, I didn't move. I stood there toe-to-toe with him, and he kicked me in the head, knocked me off the stage like twice, and climbed my way back up, got back up, and ended up winning like 4-3 or something. So I came back and still beat him. So afterwards he goes, okay, that one counted, and walks off, and still pissed to this day. But so we've had some awesome matches with some great guys. And then the last one was one of my best friends ever, Amory Morris. And that's why it's so important to talk about the health. Doc Shirley in Nebraska He's an ER doc. He's a sports medicine doctor, and he was a flight surgeon, just retired from the Air Force. He's a UFC fight doctor. He's had over 1,000 matches in being a doctor ringside. And he's doing some preventive exercises with us. You got us on, the healthy part of, the proper testosterone for your body, the peptides, all the things. And it has made such a difference. And the reason I bring up his name is Emery Morris, the guy I fought the last year. He never won a world championships. This guy had a doctorate, was probably the smartest person I ever knew. He wrote the whole curriculum for the martial arts organization, wrote the whole business plan for the organization. And we had 1,200 schools, I think, at that time. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had this all over the world, worldwide. And it came down to me and him at the end, and he never won one ever, but was such a great martial artist. And ended up being him. And I wanted him to win so bad. I would stand there and he wouldn't kick. So I was like, well, if you're not going to do nothing, I'm not going to give it to you. So I ended up winning again. And he was such a great guy, though. But then something happened with the organization after Grandmaster H. died. Other people thought, we got to get this smart guy out of here because he's too smart and we want to run this thing. So he was super disappointed and depressed from that point on. I mean, make a short story, he died a month ago at 61 years old.
Oh, wow.
So super sad. I mean, he had houses down in Florida. We'd go down there after a hurricane. I'd help him gut the house. We'd rebuild it, put it back. We were that close. We're like brothers.
Did he die of depression?
I would say yes, but his health got really bad. He ended up having hip problems, so he had hip surgery, and it took him a while to make the decision to do it. And then his other one needed it. And then with all this depression and everything else, he ended up basically living at the bar. And he would get there when they opened until they closed every day. He ended up gaining, this dude looked like John F. K. Jr. and like PhD, everything. Smartest man I ever knew. He ended up gaining about 200 pounds, had a beard and hair down to his shoulders, looked like a hermit. Couldn't leave the last 2 years, he lived in a wheelchair in his house.
It's sad.
It's really sad. And I'm like, he wouldn't talk to us. I mean, I call him all the time and he wouldn't answer the phone, wouldn't talk to nobody. Talked to one of my friends, Chick Mathis. He's a grandmaster in another Taekwondo organization in Destin. And I found out after he died, Chick called me and we're great buddies. And he goes, oh, man, I talk to him once a week. I'm like, what? I didn't know this for the last 25 years. I didn't know you spoke to him. And I'm like, well, thank you for being there for him because you're the only one on the planet. He disassociated his mother, his sister, his dad passed away years ago. They had money. They had a college. They were college professors and owned their own college. He built his own building, had his own program. I mean, he was one of my mentors of building my own building like I have. Mm-hmm. So he ended up dying alone in his house. Fell and hurt his hip. They sent him to the hospital. They said, no, you're going to hospice. He died in a week. You've always worked with me for what, how many years now?
About 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. I've respected that and I've appreciated it, but it didn't mean as much to me.
You didn't get it.
I didn't get it until he died. And I'm like, Emery is my age. And I'm spin hook kicking. We're fighting in class every day. We're hunting. We're fishing. We're going on hunting trips to Africa. And this dude lived in a wheelchair his last year.
That's awful.
To people listening, you need to get help. You need to get the best fitness. You need to, get over here and...
At the very minimum, get checked. There's a line of you people out there, meaning guys that come here and they think they understand why they're here. And then they just kind of fade. The ones that come back and then they truly get it, Jamal Lewis, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I met him when he was 295 pounds.
Wow.
We just talked about this the other day on the cast. 295 pounds, came to get a COVID test. He was going to the Bahamas. And then, just got started. Was going to commit and then faded. There's something that takes place in every human's mind once they get their hormones balanced, and testosterone being the most important part of getting a clear understanding of the world around you. Testosterone is not just for sex and gym. Those are side benefits. Testosterone is really for clarity of thought. I mean, the second most important organ in your body that needs it is your brain. Number one is your heart. I don't know if you saw just recently in the news, HHS just came out and said that testosterone is not dangerous for your heart. It's beneficial. So Marty McCleary just came out and said that the other day. A lot of things are changing regarding testosterone.
And I think too, because Doc Shirley out there was just talking about in Nebraska, his daughter works at the White House. She's also in school. She's her second year in her medical school. JFK just fired the 14 people that were on a committee to advise him on nutrition and health and testosterone and the peptide, the whole thing, because that's the direction they're trying to go. So they asked Doc Shirley to be on this council. And they called him the other day, says, will you be the chairman? We need somebody to run it, to head it up. So again, I'm hearing the same thing from him that I'm hearing from you and he does it, and he teaches it for our organization to help our instructors last longer, because not everybody has the same opportunity. Whether you got, just like you said, that clarity, that drive. I'm very competitive. I'm very driven. I'm very disciplined, because since 1975, in martial arts, yes, sir, no, sir, and I did it. That's all I knew. I never drank ever. I never smoked ever. I've never had a drink ever. And it's not because I don't like it. My wife drinks wine, and I'm fine with it. It's not that. It's just not for me. So I'm a great designated driver. Everybody loves that part of it. But again, I'm too much of a control freak to say, boy, I'm going to let my guard down here. Especially what I do, all my protection, personal protection stuff I do now and everything else, I'm looking for that. I've got to be the one that's got to be that sharpest. And with your help, I think all that's happening too. It's just taking me to the next level of mine. But, after competing, I went to my financial guy, which Emery Morris, Neil Deacle in Florida, he just retired. He introduced me. He's like, Emery, how'd you build this building? It was like 8,000 square feet, 2-story with an apartment in it on right there in downtown Tallahassee, Florida. And he goes, well, Neil helped me do it, the financial guy. I need to get myself, okay, so I need to meet him. So me and Susan met him, and I said, I want a beach house. He started looking at everything. He goes, she ain't getting no beach house. She's building a building. I was like, damn it. I want a beach house. I don't want a building. I don't want a building on Powder Springs Road in Marietta. So he goes, no, we're building this. This is what we're doing. So we started that process. All I did was I didn't know business, right? I was a martial arts instructor. So I taught class, and I happened to teach class fairly well, and I had a lot of people that stayed. So he looked at my billing. He's like, oh, my God, you got all this giant billing sitting there. And I'm like, do I? I didn't know. I don't know what the hell. I just put money in the account and paid stuff and had some money left over. So we ended up going down the road to building our own commercial building. I got the plans. The first building was going to be 7,000 square feet based on kind of what I wanted. I took it to the international camp. Grandmaster H.U. was sitting there, and I was so excited to show him, because there was only a few, like 5 people out of the whole organization that owned their own building. Everybody else leased and everything else. And I showed him the plans. He goes, nope, double. I'm like, sir, there is no way. I can't even afford what I'm doing now. And he said, nope, double. Send it back. The ideas back to the architect. Come back. It was exactly double of what he said. And I was like, sir, how'd you know? He goes, that's what you need to do. I know you need to do this big, and it's going to be good. And I'm like, I'm scared to death, right? Of spending all this money on this project. So we end up building, it's over 13, I think it's 13.5, something like that.
I was going to say, if it was 8, like that's a pretty big 8.
Yeah.
How much was the land when you bought it?
The land, I bought it when it was residential. I had a friend that knew a friend that bought it from a lady at church that her husband just passed away. And there was an old log cabin on it. It's a 1.10 acre. I think I paid, I don't know, $175,000 for it. It's worth $1 million now.
Yeah, stole it.
Yeah. But I had to get it zoned. And then I went through that process of learning what that is a tough
rezoning.
Oh my God. It was residential. So I had to zone commercial. We'll get into it later, but the book I've been writing, my firearms instructor, Michelle, she's helping me write this book. I've been doing it for like 3 years. And this kind of the title of it is, how did I get here? You know, I mean, it's, I just in these right places at the right time. And it's because of the relationships and people that I met that that, we work great together. We appreciate, we help each other, whatever. So I met this guy, and he helped me with the financial part. Then the building guy, I met that guy, and he built it. Well, the commissioner, Murray Holman, at the time for Cobb County, his kids took Taekwondo from me. So it's like, Murray, what do I do? Come here, Todd, let me show you. You're going to do this, and then you talk to him, and he's going to do this, and they approved it, and I got the building built. And it's like, how did that happen? So just basically treating people right, doing the right thing is what I've been trying to do my whole life. Be a good person. Don't be a dick. Be a good person to people, and things work out. So we built the building. It's that old saying, if they build it, they will come, like the baseball field movie. At one point, I think, so we built it in 2000. It started in 1999, but in 2001, I think we opened, or right at 2000, right before 9/11. Yeah, it was about 6 months before 9/11. And so as we're going and growing, a couple of years later, I had like 640 students.
Nice.
I mean, we were cranking because I was there every night teaching. I had a bunch of instructors. Actually, it was too hard. And we found out that we could not manage that. I couldn't hire enough people, keep enough people, manage the people, make the parking lot work, all that stuff.
Was the bathrooms big enough at that
Yeah,
point?
so it was just like, hey, hold it till you get home. That's about it. So come in your clothes. Don't even change. There's no room for you to change.
Wow.
So that's where we were crushing it. And again, I want the beach house. Neil's like, nope, shut up. We got to go to the next level and get this going, and more financial stuff, more insurance, more life insurance, all that kind of stuff. So all that's been good. People telling me no has been a good thing too. Mm-hmm. And then people are going, yeah, let's do it. Has been a great thing. So
a years and years and years, a life spent in martial arts, and then you pick up firearms. When did you start shooting firearms?
Yeah, so about 30 years ago, I was always into guns. Was my instructor back in Kentucky. He was a big hunter, so he taught me. We bow hunted first, so I gun hunt mostly now, but bow hunting teaches you to be a very good hunter, and that was probably the best thing. I didn't start off with a gun shooting them from 100 yards away with a 30-06. I started with a bow, recurve bow that you had to be 20 yards or it didn't even stick in the deer back then. So then, and he was into guns a little bit and stuff like that. So then somewhere after 9/11, right at 9/11, we decided, me and a couple of my buddies one was a state trooper in Florida, Andy Silva, my best buddies ever, died from cancer at 42 years old with his 2 twin babies. I held his twin babies at the funeral on each side, next to the coffin. Yeah. I mean, one day we were at a tournament, and he goes, man, I'm having a tough time peeing. I'm like, what? 6 months, he was dead. Just
prostate.
Just terrible. So it was him and Gary Morris, Dan Longoria, all my other buddies, super high rank guys. We were all like 6-degree masters at the time. And to go into something new at that point is kind of unheard of, because you don't want to be a white belt again. And we're like, screw it, I don't care. So we went to Krav Maga. Krav Maga Worldwide was the main Krav Maga organization, was brought over from Israel by EMI. And the gentleman's name was Darren Levine. He was the deputy district attorney for LA County. And he was the one who brought Krav Maga to the United States.
Nice.
Great man. He looked like Fred Flintstone. And the dude was just awesome. And his wife, same thing.
So I have him to thank for my new skills.
Yes, exactly. He would be very proud. He died from cancer a month ago. So as you can see, our recurring thing is cancer and more cancer and your health and all that stuff. So anyway, we went through the 3, it's like 2-week course, I think a week or 2-week courses of Krav Maga for the instructor level. And they put you through it. I mean, back then it was like, they tried to make it like SEAL training, where, 5 of you be left out of 50 at the end of the week kind of thing. And we are already martial artists. So we were like, we had guys coming in and want to be instructors that probably did martial arts for a year. At this point, we've already done it for like 25 years or 30 years. This is my 51st year of teaching or being in martial arts. I looked at it earlier, I'm like, you got to be kidding me, 51 years in martial arts. So we did all the Krav Maga certifications. We were doing the class, and it was funny because Darren's wife was a sweetheart, and she died from breast cancer about a month after we certified. And she was like, she's teaching us to kick. And we were like, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And then she goes, okay, can you do this kick, like this round kick? And she didn't know we were like 6th-degree masters in Taekwondo. So we threw a couple of kicks. She's like, okay, never mind. You guys just do your thing. So they respected, and when he saw somebody could do something, they didn't put you through the bullshit stuff. They said, okay, you're good, just go on.
Right,
you know, that kind of stuff. So they were really reasonable too. Now, did we work hard? Did they drive us into the dirt? Oh yeah, they did. And we loved it because we loved to train and see what our limits were. So we came back from that. Was teaching Krav Maga in the school. It was going really good. Had some good instructors working under me. And then my partner in the old gun company, in Indiana calls me one day, says, hey, you want to run up to Crane Naval Base? They're asking me, and I need you to help me teach self-defense. Can you do a self-defense class for these engineers that are going to Afghanistan and Iraq? And they're civilians, so they don't know it. They're not soldiers.
Right.
And we went, yeah, sure. So we ran up there and spent the week doing some basic stuff, and they were like, man, this is really good. So we did it. We did the first couple of courses, and then the next course we did, we show up and there's like these 22 guys. Most of the class was about 10 engineers, never been behind a desk, ate donuts all day, you know, never worked out a day of their life. But they were going over to support the IED jammers, the night vision project, support special forces and different projects and stuff. This next one we get there, and it's in Evansville, Indiana. Is where we did the training, because on the base we couldn't do a lot of the training because of the firearms part and everything else. To take firearms on the range, you can't, or on the base, you can't. And we're civilians with a CAT card, not a military ID. And so we ended up doing most of the training off-site. So our insurance covered us being everywhere else. So we're looking around and going, so we start the training, we start with the Krav Maga stuff, and all these dudes are in shape and ripped and huge. So we don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. So we finally said, hey, some of them are goofing off, some aren't doing it, some are doing it, and half of them are getting to it. And we said, who's the boss? You know, and who we thought it was not the boss. So this other dude's on the phone the whole damn time. So we said, can we come into office? Let's talk about this. Let's just figure this out. So he goes, hey, man, I'm sorry. I don't be disrespectful, but I've got guys, the security team in Afghanistan, the guns didn't show up. And I'm like, sorry, you know, what do you need to do to go? I said, why are you here? He goes, well, we're a retired SEAL team and Special Forces guys. I own Trident Group in Virginia Beach. We're like, what do you need to do? Why are you here? What are we going to teach you guys? And he goes, you guys do the Army qual for the pistol and rifle, and we're out of the military and we can't carry weapons overseas without the qual. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. So where do we sign right now? Here, just sign it and go. You got me telling a Dev Group SEAL guy that he can carry a gun or not? I said, this is bullshit. He looked at us and goes, yeah, this is bullshit. He goes, but wait a minute. What you guys are doing are really good. I like this. What if we added medical and this and this and this? Then from that day, we partnered and developed this whole program to support Special Forces. Nice. So, yeah, it turned. So I basically got the opportunity to train with Navy SEALs. They were the main. There was some Special Forces guys, some Army guys, some throughout the stuff, but 90% were SEALs and high-level ones. And so they kind of drugged me along. And again, it's like the book. It's like, how the hell did I get here? Mm-hmm. For 15 years, I trained with Navy SEALs.
Nice.
So, you know, the first set of trainings, I was carrying the bags, unloading the rifles. You know, that's what I did. I went, got coffee. I did whatever they want, but I taught the Krav Maga part.
Were they special breed?
They are freaking unbelievable. They are so smart, but people don't understand. All those guys had their pilot's license, several degrees, spoke 3 or 4 different languages, didn't like teaching beginners. They hated beginners because they're like, dude, shoot the freaking pistol, you know? So that's where they start letting me come in, because I was really good from all my martial arts training. I was really good at teaching beginners. We taught beginners all the time.
Right.
They did have no tolerance for beginners. So it would be, Todd, do the safety brief. And I'd do it. It'd be 45 minutes, an hour long. And they go, this is bullshit. That's too long. We need to shoot guns. And then about lunchtime, they go, shit, forget it, Todd, you're right. You know, you and Gary are right. We need to spend more time, because these guys are pointing guns where they would be pointing guns the wrong place. It wasn't for you guys, telling them all the basics. So then it became, well, I don't like to do the warm-up, the dry fire part. Todd, you do that. So, each time I would get to do a little more because I built confidence that they said, well, he can do it. I don't want to do this shit. I'm going to Starbucks. Yeah, this is bullshit. I want some coffee. Come back. I started doing the first section of live fire. So I taught the whole course, and it goes, okay, time for the drills. Get the fuck out of the way. Here we go. That's not my turn. Bump, shooting out of sunroofs of Suburbans and doing all this stuff with advanced stuff later on.
Where was this at?
So Crane Naval Base is in Indiana. It's like the largest square foot base, naval base, in the middle of the country. So at one point, the reason they built it, they thought the Russians were going to invade. And they wanted to have something in the middle of the country that they couldn't get to easily.
Is that what the Chinese balloon was taking pictures of?
Yeah, probably so.
Flying across the country.
Yeah, probably so. So really cool base, giant place.
Shout out dipshit Biden.
Yeah, it was, and again, some of the rules that we had to abide by were just insane because they were in power at the time, and it was just crazy. Like, these guys are coming to us for the qual. Didn't have made any sense. So we got to do all the training. We learned all the TCCC medical stuff. So I'm here, and it's funny because I was here in Georgia, and Dr. Rick Hemisfar he's an orthopedic surgeon, and Dr. Weil in Marietta. I went there, I tore my knee, had meniscus surgery and stuff. And I came back from one. I'm like, sir, you never believe this. We were doing this medical stuff with like the tourniquet. And he's like this, and points to the wall. He was on the board for SOCOM, who developed the TCCC course. And he's like, Todd, shut up. I've developed the shit, dude, And I didn't know. And he don't talk about it. This is a well-respected, world-renowned surgeon. And he showed me the certificate on the wall. I look over, it says from SOCOM. I'm like, holy crap. So then, he would help me and instruct me, and we did courses, and he would add more stuff and things like that. So we did that. And one of the two other SEALs, John Conzo, he's a commander now, and Scott Lexi, he's one of the commanders. So they taught the courses, and I assisted. I ran and got the fake blood. I got to clean up the mess. I got to do all that. But all that time, for 15 years, I did the instructor course probably 25 times. So then I brought that back. So there's where all my shooting, back to your question, was how'd you get into shooting? Well, I was into shooting before, but nothing like that. I was learning the stuff at the top guys in the world learn how to shoot, and got to shoot with them, and we trained, and we built rifles, and we shot stuff. We went other places when we weren't training and shot together and did stuff. It was just an honor to be around them. And, and you always hear about the health of the soldiers coming back. And we were dealing with, there was a few that really had a tough time, that came back. Because this is 2001 through 2005, 6, all the way to 2012 or something. So right then, in the middle of that, is when it was super hot over there. There was Excursion 17 happened when all the SEALs died in the helicopter wreck and all that stuff. I was standing there when that happened. Next, we were actually doing training, and I see one of them get a phone call, and then everybody got in a huddle, and it was like, we just lost 17 SEALs. The whole platoon's gone, dead. So one of the guys, I won't mention his name, but he actually had to receive the bodies at Dover. And he was so pissed because the bodies laid on the hot runway waiting for Obama being 3 hours late. He called me from the runway. And I'm like, how you doing, bud? We called each other, who called who, but I called him and he called me, one of the two. And he said, I'm freaking pissed. I'm like, what? He goes, I've been standing over these bodies laying on the runway for hours, and it's 95 degrees out. He said, and every one I opened was worse than the next one. And so anyway, all the medical stuff we did, came from there. So that's why it's a package. You can't learn gun stuff unless you learn the medical stuff to protect yourself and to fix yourself if you need to. So that leads into everything that you do, everything. This whole ties in together. You can't just do gun. You can't do martial arts. You need the gun stuff. You need the knife stuff. You need the self-defense. You need the health and fitness so you can do it, because trying to survive a fight, that's what we really teach. How do you survive the fight? Yeah, and win. It might last.
How not to become a victim.
Yeah, not to be a victim. How much it takes to survive a minute in a full fight is insane. The amount of physical fitness you would need. We do it in class, and we do it like a 2-minute focus minute thing. We're all about dying. And it's not the pressure of someone trying to kill you either. So we try to improve. We try to get
fires. Yeah.
Yeah, we try to get to that level. You can't, if anybody ever says this is just like a fight, you're full of shit. It's not. You can't exactly do that. We can get pretty close, but you can't ever get that close. So anyway, to the gun stuff, I get back, and there's one of my best friends and your best friend. I'm at the school one day, and this guy looks like Captain America walks in, and he's like, what do you do here? And I'm like, sir? Well, here he's a SWAT team commander from Cobb County. And he goes, I want my training to be better, and I want my guys to be better. What do you do? So he goes, I'll do a class. So we did a class. He's like, this is what we need. We need this. Some of the old stuff, like the PPCT instructor, went through it with Bruce Siddle, who developed it for his Detroit or Chicago police officer and worldwide pressure point thing. He's like, we run the violent crime unit too. He goes, that stuff pushing them on the pressure point when the guy's trying to kill us doesn't work very well.
Right.
And they're sweaty and they're mad and they're on drugs and all the stuff. So a lot of the stuff that was mandated, which is no one's fault, it was a great program, wasn't as effective as they wanted to be. So they started the Krav Maga, and it's 15, I think going on 16 years they've been trained. So Joel Preston was probably the longest SWAT team commander in the whole Southeast. He retired a couple of years ago. He's still there. He was there this morning with us.
Yeah.
And a beast. I mean, just a beast. So him and Rocky said, we need this for the team. So the team, and part of them, everybody gets higher rank, moves up, goes to different shifts and stuff. So over the years, we've had the whole team training for years. Then a couple of them got to move on into something else. But basically, we still, as of this morning, are still training and doing stuff with them. So the best thing about our Krav Maga, we call it Krav Maga, Tactical Krav Maga, is we've enhanced it and fixed it even since Darren showed it to us in 2001. Because when they're in a fight, we do a technique, and Rocky goes, that's bullshit, that don't work, because we did it last night. In the distraction from a car that this guy just killed some people or whatever. And so we would go, okay, let's look at the options. What would happen if we did this. So a lot of things have actually changed based on them, and it's become a lot more practical, a lot more real. Is everything guaranteed going to work? No, but it sure is a lot closer and a lot faster, a lot more efficient, and survivability is much higher than the other.
I like it because you're always in a safe position as a finishing move. If you do the technique properly and you stay within yourself and you don't get out over your shoes, you're always end up in a safe place.
Right. Yeah. So it kind of gets you, if you stay in that stance we were talking about today, stay in your sparring stance. You're good there. It's like I was telling you, I'm 5'6", you're 6'3"?
6'2", yeah.
6'2", I mean, in shape, big guy, strong. I'm like, I'm 5'6", 160. I don't care how much you put. That's a big, strong person that's going to beat up the little guy, right?
Right.
So I can't beat you if we're staring at each other with perfect balance. But when you're all balanced, I can beat you. When you're 1 foot an inch off the floor, I can beat you. When you're twisted sideways, falling off balance, I can beat you all day long. So I have to fight where my advantages are, right? A big guy pick you up. You don't need. That's what we told a bunch of the SEALs. It was like, you don't need martial arts. Just pick them up and snap them in half, But there was always a bigger SEAL. Right. There was always a bigger other dude.
Right.
And that's what we got from them is, dude, we're training. We are training. We don't care. They still train to this day. Every single one of them do all that. And I think that's some of my drive too. My buddy called me, what are you doing? I'm at the gym. And I think just on the mental part and some of the things that I got from some of these most elite people in the world is to answer the phone. I call you. I call Rocky. I call Scott. I called Scott one day. I'm like, hey, man, how you doing? He's like, hey, good to see you. Hey, can I call you back? And I'm like, yeah, sure. He goes, I'm jumping out of the back of a
C-130.
Yeah, C-130 or whatever. C-17, whatever. And I'm like, you answered the phone? And that's the kind of people that answer the phone. Rocky, I was calling, he might be in a gunfight. He might be training. He might be.
Is this Mercy?
Yeah. And he goes, hey, man, can I call you back? Is everything good? Yep, everything's good. I'll call you back. Well, but they answer the phone.
Right.
And I tried to pass on my nephews and everything. I said, when I call, you answer the phone. I'll freaking rip your head off if you don't answer the phone when I call. Even if it's to say hi. That's one quality that you need to have as a professional. I'm like, well, the most professional people in the world called Doc Shirley. I can call him. He calls me back. Oh, man, I'm in the operating room. I'll call you back in a minute. I'm like, dude, why are you answering the phone? Because that's the kind of person it is.
Right.
And that's what I try to do. I tell people when I work, and we're kind of getting ahead, but when I work with these other things on the personal protection side, like the domestic shelters that now I've worked with, Ronald McDonald House, personal protection details and stuff that I do. Part of it is, if on a Wednesday night you call me and say, hey, it's a domestic shelter, we're having a problem with a client or some guy's coming to try to find their whatever, great. I answer the phone. I'll be there, to kind of guide. Now, I don't step in and do the police work, but I can guide them. Hey, you're staying inside till this. I communicate with the police guys. I make good relationships with all the different teams around and stuff. But those are the things. And it's the same with the elite guys. Now, some other divisions and other thing, when you call me, I'll call you back. It's like, really? So I know who I can trust, who I can do. It's always thinking, if you had one person to call, would they answer the phone? Who's that person?
Right.
And that's what I try to be. And I think that's what I've learned from all you guys and all the professionals I've been around is, answer the freaking phone, work out, get healthy, eat the right stuff, get help when you need it, mentally and physically.
There's one thing about answering the phone, you can always hang up.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to stay on the phone.
Yeah, you don't have to stay on the phone, but you acknowledge, hey, that person. And the day it is an emergency,
yeah,
and they pick up, you're like, thank God they picked up.
Right.
And I built this trust. So, it's just been a godsend with them, training with them, riding around with them at night and stuff like that as a ride along. I've learned so much about martial arts and gunfighting and stuff now. And I've been in a gunfight, thank God, but I've seen all the things that make our program better, makes me better, hopefully makes me pass on the information better. Like one time we were out, 3 guys, they know one guy's got a gun, they come up on them. I start getting that one thing we learned from the SEALs was when you crack the door of that vehicle, whatever the hell you're in, look up because the problem is going to be on that rooftop, that second story. They've got the advantage. So you got a dude with a rifle up top. You can have 10 guys with rifles down here. You're probably going to get whacked. So I pop the door and I look up and I see these people in the balcony and I'm like, whoa, I don't have a gun. I can't carry a gun on but I'm with them. Mm-hmm. I'm looking up. I got body armor on, and I'm like, "Holy crap! Look what could happen." So just learning to look up. So I moved to a better position behind the Tahoe, so I'd have better cover. And then you'd see somebody hand a kid some keys, and he would go in the middle of this thing, open the door, and start reaching under the seat. And right away, one of the other lieutenants goes, hey, what's he doing over there, Todd? I'm like, he's rooting under the seat. So both of us, of course, you're not going to shoot somebody for that, but we both moved to better cover in case the 10-year-old comes out from under the seat with a gun or runs and gives it to somebody else. Right. So those things, yeah.
Switch.
Yep. Everybody's got a Glock switch and turns it full auto and just sprays into the thing. But so it's just been a godsend to meet them. Again, there's the book again. It's like, how did I get here? How did I get to training with SEALs for 15 years? I didn't train SEALs. We had to train together, and they taught me. And then same with the SWAT guys is that we train together. I learned stuff from them. They learned stuff from me. So it's kind of a joint thing. I'm never too big in the britches to learn anything. I'll go as a white belt. It was funny. A couple of years ago, we went to a big jiu-jitsu thing. This Kevin Henderson, one of my best guys, he's an 8th degree in Taekwondo. But he's a 4th degree in jiu-jitsu under Master Machado. Mm-hmm. So Grandmaster GK is like a 3rd or 4th degree. I think he was testing, and we just made this relationship. We want the best martial artists to be partners with us.
Right.
And Master Henderson goes, hey, man, Master Machado is awesome. He's made my instructor for 20 years or 30 years. So we go to his big training event. We're going to train. I'm going to train. I don't care. I'll do it. So we get there, and I go put a white belt on. I haven't had a white belt on since 1975. And it's like, that's fine. We'll do it. So we stood there and wore white belts and got on the floor and learned some stuff too. And the same situation with other great people I've had the honor to meet is Jimmy Pedro, 4-time Olympian, and judo. So judo is another one of the martial arts. It's torture. I mean, it is one of the hardest training, hardest workout, hardest mindset that you can have. So we partnered. I met Jimmy years ago when we brought him into ATA to kind of do a seminar, and he had his own mat company and stuff called Fuji. So we kind of did some stuff then, and he was a good friend of Gary Morris's, which is my partner in the gun company, Mike Swain. Mike Swain was Jimmy's coach, and he's a 4-time Olympian. So we had a relationship with them, and then guess what? When I call, they answer the phone. I haven't talked to Mike in a year. I'll call the phone, and Mike Swain answers the phone. Hey, Todd, what's up? What do you need? Jimmy's the same way. So we decided, and when we started the new organization, we kind of broke off from ATA because they hired a new CEO, and it was business side, screw the martial artists, screw the good people, and we said, nope, that's enough, we're leaving. So we left on a Wednesday, 3 of us, and one of the other grandmasters was going to come. He goes, oh, I can't come. I'm like, oh, great, now we got 3 schools, at least lunch is going to be cheap because there's only 3 of us, and now we've got 300. So all over the whole world. We got 52, I think, in South America. We've got some over in Europe, a few, but most of them are here in the States. And everybody we have wants to train. It's called GTMA, Global Traditional Martial Arts. Jishim Taekwondo is a style of Taekwondo, and it's all more self-defense oriented. Even the forms are self-defense oriented. It isn't like you're stepping and punching. You're doing knees and elbows and all this stuff, even in color belt stuff. So it has a better translation into self-defense than most martial arts. So we decided to partner with Jimmy, and he goes, hey, let's do a cruise. I'm going to bring the mats. We're going to have judo and taekwondo on the mat and jiu-jitsu. We're like, what? That sounds like fun. Never been on a cruise before. So we end up going on the cruise. We've got the guy, so we've got one of the head Gracie guys. We got Jimmy. We got the guy that owns Six Blades. What's his name? This guy won like Abu Dhabi championship like 5 times.
Wow.
Unheard of. What's his name? I'll think of it in a second. So then, and Kayla Harrison. So Kayla is the only American, man or woman, ever to win a gold medal. And then she won it again the next Olympics. But people don't know.
Kayla Harrison, UFC fighter.
Yep. Won the championship. Yep. She's the champion right now, 135. And she won the second Olympics gold medal without being scored on the whole Olympics. I mean, that's unheard of. That's how much of a freak. And I always tell everybody, there's some outstanding athletes, some freaks. I mean, you know them, some of the guys that come in here, just right. Professional athletes. And then you got super freaks. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, we were doing a seminar at my school with Mike Swain, a 4-time Olympian, judo coach for I don't know how many years. And we're doing this randori, which is like sparring in judo. And this thing, he's doing 1 or 2 moves. And I swear, he touched me, and I'm like, who put the lights up there? I mean, I never felt it. I never saw it. And I'm on my back. And that's the difference. I mean, I could hang with most people. Mm-hmm. And I still get beat because that's not my sport, but I can hang. I got enough martial arts experience not to get caught in something stupid.
Right.
With him, it doesn't matter what the hell you know or do. You're gone. So Swain is like that. Of course, Jimmy Pedro, he's like that. And just to hear Kayla's story about being abused by her instructor when she was younger and fighting through that, and Jimmy and her dad took her in and raised her, and she became Olympic champion and wrote the book and has a foundation, now becomes UFC champion, talking about a super freak. And then she just went through a neck injury and just had neck surgery, emergency neck surgery, and she's supposed to come back, but Doc Shirley's thinking probably a year. Mm. But that's, and that's where that mental thing comes in and that physical fitness stuff comes in. But she's been thrown on her head. She's thrown people on the head, thrown on her head for 30 years.
Right.
She's 36, so probably 25, 28 years at the highest level in the world.
Yeah, my buddy Cody Durden fights with her down in
American Top Team.
Yeah, Coconut Creek.
Yeah, and unbelievable. So then they try to bring people in, competitors against her. We did judo for 3 months. She's done 1,000 matches, 1,000 at the highest level of judo there is. So it's like do whatever you want to do. Now her stand-up, she's got a better stand-up. So we're really hoping for her return. I know she'll come back because, I mean, nothing's going to stop her. But
stem cells.
she is doing some. I can't remember the company, but one of her sponsors is it. I see she's doing it, so I'm sure she's doing some of that. I haven't talked to her since the injury. I sent her a message and stuff, and she replied back, and, thanks for the thoughts and stuff. And Doc Shirley, same thing. And just being around her, we were kidding this morning in class. I remember on the ship doing her warm-up. The warm-up was so hard that I was done after the warm-up. I started looking at Grandmaster GK. He's in there with us, and Kevin. I'm like, shit, I'm done. I can't function anymore after that. It's so hard. So, but anyway, and there I am again. How am I hanging out with, Kayla Harrison, and we're all at the pool, and, afterwards and hanging out, and everybody's cutting up and having a good time. And then all of a sudden you see us, they're all in the gym. Mm-hmm. On the cruise. We went to the gym like every day. And hey, and you're in there, and you got Olympian over there. You got the Abu Dhabi champion over there. And I'm like, how the hell am I here?
Right.
This is crazy. But just the nicest
bad place
people.
to start a fight.
Yeah. There were no fights on the boat. I guarantee you. It was funny. We did have a situation. And me and Jimmy had a good relationship with Travis Stevens. Travis Stevens was the silver medalist in judo, and he's Jimmy's partner. So at Jimmy's school, they teach judo, and it's mostly kids and teens, because you can't start judo at 40. Your body cannot.
I asked about it. I was told, bad idea.
Yeah, bad idea. He said, we don't even let them. But all the adults do jujitsu, and Travis teaches the jujitsu part, and he's got other guys too, but silver medalist. And he's a big dude. I mean, I don't know what he played judo at, but he's in his 200s and 6 foot tall, and his nickname is the Judo Silencer, if that has anything to tell you. I mean, he will destroy. We're watching the training he's teaching, and they have, open mat, free randori, where you pick somebody to spar with or do jiu-jitsu with, roll with. And this one guy come up and tapped him on the shoulder, which in martial arts, if you do martial arts, you don't walk up and tap a higher rank and go, you want to go a couple rounds?
Right.
That's not the respectful way to do it. There is a way to learn to train. Hey, sir, could you help me with this? And whatever, or ma'am, can you help me? But this dude tapped me on the shoulder because you want to go a couple rounds? And I am sitting over there on the floor, and I am dying. Me and Kevin are sitting on the floor, stretching, and we're watching this dude. And Travis ain't even looking at him while he's doing this. And he's like working this guy like a rib bone, And all of a sudden, Travis takes his uniform top out of his belt, wraps it around the dude's neck and chokes. No, he took the other guy's uniform off and wraps it around that and chokes him out with the dude's uniform. And didn't even look at him the whole time. He's looking at us kind of smiling, and it's like, dude.
It's like the Matrix at the end of the movie where they shoot the bullets. They just kind of hold them there, and
he's like that.
Bullets just fall.
Yeah, that's enough for right now, and I'll let you do what I want you to do anytime. I want you to do it, and when I want to end it, I'll end it. So we had one guy in our organization that was part of our Taekwondo group that he's had a few attitude adjustments during tournaments. It was like nicest guy in the world, but when he would compete, he kind of had to switch of being an arrogant ass. So he does jujitsu, but he's like a purple belt or blue belt, nothing like these guys.
Right.
And everybody is, even the guys that are like John G's the other one, the Abu Dhabi champion. And they're in there rolling around with people, helping people, and the Gracie guy that has the big school in New York, he was there. And they're helping people doing something. So he gets, and that's the hard thing about jujitsu, is when you don't know what you're doing, you go harder. Mm-hmm. And you hurt people or you hurt yourself. Everybody's hurting jiu-jitsu all the time. Whether it's by yourself, I crank too hard, or I crank somebody too hard. So he cranks this person. So we're doing something. I'm number 2 in our organization. Number 2, the second highest rank. I'm number 2 in charge. Jimmy calls me and goes, hey, can me and Travis, we need to talk to you. And I was like, oh, shit. What, you going to throw me overboard? What happened? And he wasn't mad or mean, but I could just tell by his voice there was something up. And I said, yes, sir. I'll meet you down there at the pool. So I go walking down there by myself. And him and Travis are standing there. And I'm like, he goes, hey, we got a problem with one of your guys. He cranked one of the students, like hard, had him crying. It was one of the girls. I'm like, what?
How do you crank a girl?
Yeah, that guy's got this attitude problem. And I was like, I said, taken care of. Who is it? Whatever. It's this guy. Oh, I know who it is. It'd be taken care of immediately. Went and found his instructor, happened to be on the boat too. I said, this can never happen. I am not willing to ruin this whole relationship with the best guys in the world over his attitude problem and to do this. So we talked to him. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. And we were out eating lunch somewhere, and the guy and his couple other students come walking by. Oh, sir, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm like, all right, but dude, there's no fixing this.
Yeah, you're out.
You don't do it. You can't go to any more training, period, the rest of the trip. I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm like, too bad. Sorry. So I went back to Travis. I said, nope, he's done. He will not take another class. So they said, no, we forgive him. That's all right. Because he goes, there's a couple guys really pissed. They're ready to go. They will throw him overboard.
They want to roll.
Yeah, they're gonna crank him. I mean, he might sleep for the rest of the trip. So I was like, and they go, no, Todd, that's good. We'll let him. He wants to train, whatever. I said, no. I said, I am not willing to ruin a relationship with us over this person with a bad attitude. And I think I gained some respect from them doing that because he was not allowed. Our organization was going to let him do it. Worst part, next morning I come in, Jimmy's standing, hey, Todd, how you doing? So we're all good. Everybody's good. Travis is there. Kale is there. All the other guys are there. And I was talking to one of them, and I look over, and he goes, well, that guy cranked Jimmy's daughter is who it was. I'm like, oh, my God. I was Jimmy. I'm like, Jimmy, why didn't you tell me it was your daughter? I would have thrown that sucker overboard. I would have beat his ass for the next 10 months. Your daughter? I know your daughter. She's a sweetheart. And she's a high level, but when you got a 230-pound man on a 120-pound woman, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, judo, weight makes a huge difference. That's why weight classes, right? They have weight classes because people were freaked out. I got to wrestle 5 pounds up. Oh my God, I don't want to do that. That's terrible. Yeah, you're going to lose most of the time unless you're a super freak. So anyway, we went on. It ended up great, built some great relationships with them. Again, I'm going, how did I get here? I'm hanging out with these ultimate athletes, and every one of them are in top shape. And like you were just talking about, you possibly get into the stem cell and all this new stuff. Kayla's doing it now. I remember her telling me, I got to do that. Doc Shirley's she had knee surgery a couple weeks before, or a couple months before, whatever it is, but she's got her stitches in. So we're laying on the mat on top of the ship with her pants leg pulled up, and Doc Shirley takes my tweezers out of my med kit and is taking her stitches out. I'm like, we're laying there on the mat with her hand by her head, laying on her side, watching Doc take stitches out of Kayla's leg. And I'm like,
tweezers.
Yeah, with tweezers. And I'm like, how the hell did we get here? So, but just unbelievable. And that just pushed me another reason to stay at a high level of training and physical fitness and stuff. So every time I come back from that stuff, I'm like, Jeff, help.
So what are you doing to live well? You gave us a whole litany of stuff, but if you're going to tell your old self, what am I doing now to live?
Train smart, get help, right, from professionals like yourself. So I think I never really ate terrible, but bread, dessert is my weakness. Every time I eat too much bread and all that kind of stuff, I can just tell I had 4 or 5 pounds. Like I told you the other day, it's like, damn it, I was 165 for like months now. And all of a sudden I'm 9 pounds heavier. Well, I went hunting, I did this, I did that. I ate the French bread, I ate the French fries, all that crap, because there's nothing to eat down there where we hunt. So I just ate whatever and I crimped. So I was like, damn it. So probably the biggest thing is do what it takes. Find the person that's going to keep you safe. One of the things. I think that's some of the big things. Like you just said, they've been proven that all these things that were in the past that were, testosterone is going to give you cancer and this is going to do this. And you proved all that now. So find something that's safe, get with somebody that will keep you safe, and then use all of it. I mean, I'm doing, what's the, about a year or so ago, and I'm like, I am at
the BPC 157.
Yep. The peptide one, the Wolverine one, what's that other one called?
The TB 500.
Yep.
And Wolverine combines them together.
And what's the fat shot thing we talk about?
Semaglutide.
Yeah, those kind of things.
And retatrutide, the GLPs.
Yeah. And I was like, here's the problem. I was training to test for 9th degree. So I'm a 9th degree grandmaster now. And I wanted to look good. I didn't want to be like some of my friends that quit training, they're unhealthy, that are sick, And a couple of them just looked terrible and they just can't do what they could do. And I was like, nope. So came to you and you said, okay, I was at Hot Works in the 132-degree sauna riding a bike 3 or 4 times a week. I was doing Krav with you guys in the morning, and I was weightlifting 2 or 3 times a week. I'm like, Jeff, I'm 185. I'm now 184 and a half after 6 months of doing that. He goes, Todd, I got a little bit easier way to help you here, buddy. So I was like, thank God. So I've done some of that, and it's been good. I haven't had any side effects from any of that. And I got to where I actually lost the weight, so I can now try to maintain it. And I'm maintaining it pretty good now. But I'm going to, you're helping me with the correct dosage and the correct amount. And sometimes I need to get back on it for a while. Sometimes I get off of it or whatever. But with your guidance, I think use everything you can possibly use to stay in good health, because health is everything. And we're all seeing it. I've got 2 good friends right now. They're either a year or 2 older than I am, and they're really unhealthy. They're really having a tough time. One just went through prostate cancer. Caught it early. He's fine, but he gained 150 pounds after testing. The other guy he's as white as a sheet, was in the hospital a couple of weeks ago at the camp. His heart's got bad heart, got bad this, got bad that, had water on the lungs. They're at the hospital during the camp at midnight because his health is just not great.
If you don't have your health, what do you got?
Yeah. And his business shows. So his business wasn't doing great. He lives in a low place that he's not happy with, and he's not happy about anything. And I just see him, and I'm really worried about him because they're been my buddies since we've been kids. But, get your financial stuff intact, get professionals to help that, get your health, because now at this point, I'm selling my business and my building and everything else so I can move on, do more of the personal protection, more of the gun stuff.
House on the beach.
Possibly house on the beach, or rent yours if you have one available, sir. But yeah, and I think we'll just travel around and go different places and stuff. I'm not going to buy a bunch of stuff at this point. I see them now, and they're 62, 65, 67, and are renting a spot with no savings. So what are they going to do? Just stop one day and not have anything left? So that scares the shit out of me.
Right.
And thank God the people around me have always looked out for me and taken care of me. And, and I had to have some drive to follow through. I mean, you tell me to take the shot, but if I don't take the shot every day, it ain't going to help. So you have to have that person that's willing to do, to do what you say. And that used to be the thing that pissed me off more than anything in the world. I've done training from Portugal to South Africa, firearms training, Krav Maga training, all over the world. I've been around I think I added up the other day. I've been around the world 7 times, from Australia to Portugal to Netherlands, teaching training camps, teaching shooting, teaching personal protection. I taught a security team down in South Africa. Continue to work down there and do some stuff. And I tell you what, there's some different places that all this means a lot, because it's a wild, wild west in some of these places.
Kill or be killed.
Yeah. And, it's got to be real. The stuff you're doing has to be good. And if my health is not good, I couldn't tolerate the traveling and the working. And I mean, you're training all day, you're doing this. And if your health's not good, you just can't do it. You can't perform.
Yeah.
And when, you have to have safety and not have somebody shoot themselves or each other or, some of the moves and knife stuff or whatever, can't have people get hurt, and it's a liability. Then you lose everything. So I think the health part is probably the number one thing. You said it before, the mentally, if I can stay sharp mentally, then I'm going to be able to see up and down that line when we're teaching firearms, or I can hear that click and I can realize, hey, somebody dropped their slide. What are you doing down there? Oh, sorry. Hey, go to the lock, go to clear and safe, put it back in your holster. I can look at somebody when they're doing martial arts. Are they, hey, back off a little bit. You're going a little hard. That's too much. When you're going to hurt yourself, you might hurt somebody else. And you don't have a training partner, and then you're pissed and they quit. So,
right.
How do we do all this together? So, yeah, I think that's the most. Like today, we had a great workout doing training for a security team in Valdosta this weekend. I remember what hotel, I always go to the same hotel because they got a good gym.
That's nice.
And it's like you start planning out. Hey, I like that because that's got a good restaurant. That's got a good gym.
Plenty of meals, plenty of workouts.
Yeah.
Hey, man, great talk.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time. Yeah, that was really good.
A good word. we can live well some more at the Livewell Podcast.
Yes, definitely. And I'm looking forward to hearing. I got a bunch of fellows over at Sitka over here next to your facility, and everybody, I told them I could do a podcast. Where can you find the podcast? I want to see it. I'm like, it might be more like a comedy act for me, but people want to know, how do they find the podcast? How do they see it?
It'll be on all the podcast channels, and it'll be on YouTube, but we're probably in the next few weeks trying to get a bit of a library before we go live, so we don't have to come back in the studio every day.
That's perfect. That's perfect. I think it's amazing. And man, your facility is beautiful. Your new store here is awesome. Triple the size.
Yeah.
Podcast thing. I mean, I don't know. Rogan's looks this cool, but I see Rogan's, and Sean's got a pretty cool one. I saw his and listen to his podcast all the time. But again, Andy Stump, he's got a cool one now too. But I'm like, dude, I seen your stuff. I'm like, this is high tech. This is beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yep. Thank you, Jeff. And we'll see you in class. Peace out.